course is a practical course. It's a course in how to speak better and how to write better. It's a course that addresses the theory of rhetoric as it has been developed from the ancient world down to the modern world, and it applies it to modern usage. It uses readings in rhetorical theory, but it also uses examples out of American political and social history. So if you take a look at the syllabus, for example, and you turn to the second page, you will see that part 1 talks about the nature of rhetoric and a long struggle. What is that long struggle? It is the nature of civil rights in the United States. So there is a specific topic of historical, political, and social interest which is addressed in this unit. But there is also aspects of rhetoric which are addressed in its large and fundamental characteristics. Has everyone had a chance to look at the syllabus to some degree? Yes? Are there questions that you have about it? Evaluation is set out, dates are set out. You will please be asked to do the reading that's on the syllabus in the exact order it's listed. So if you want to know what should I read next, whatever is next on the syllabus. And in each class, I will give cues about what is coming up next. It's pretty clearly outlined. There are texts for this course. This book, In Our Own Words, which is available in paperback, which is Extraordinary Speeches of the American Century, of the 20th century. This book, which you can get new or used, I'm afraid the price new is pretty steep, but Classical Rhetoric for the Modern Student. This also available at the Coop. And then you'll wonder, what is this? It's like a menu. What is it? It's actually an excellent summation of English, grammar, and punctuation. You ever want to have a quick reference for whether you're doing something right or wrong in terms of commas or quotation marks, things like that? Well, when I first picked this up, I was cynical and suspicious. And I thought, for sure it can't be very good. Guides like this usually aren't. I went through it with a fine-tooth comb, and to my amazement and surprise and delight, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. It seemed all in order. So this for this course, but I urge you to get it for any course, because it's of great help in answering specific questions about how you punctuate, what parts of speech there are, when to use a semicolon, how do you use a colon, things of that nature. And you think, well, that's all Mickey Mouse, I know that. But it's actually very helpful. I myself refer to it often when I'm in doubt about certain elements that have to do with grammar or punctuation. And it's important. There was once a court decision in California in which the person writing it left off a comma, changing a clause from a clause that was dependent into one that was independent. That changed the interpretation of that clause, and it meant that a whole ring of pornographers got away. Don't think a comma isn't important. It is important. Don't think these things matter. They matter. The definitions of words, the nature of punctuation. You go to law school, that's one of the things that you will learn definitely, if not actually pointed out to you in detail. There are some policies in this course. I want to go over them very quickly. This is a Gen Ed course. It counts for aesthetic and interpretive, but I think it also counts for another category too, right? Doesn't it? People check that out? Culture and belief, yes. So you can take this course for aesthetic and interpretive, and you can take it for culture and belief if you wish. The course can't be taken pass-fail. Why not? Well, it's not terribly hard. And none of you should be out of your depth in this course, because it's a course about the common use of language that you will encounter and that you will utilize throughout your whole life. It's not a course in differential calculus, multivariable calculus. It's not a course in advanced Latin. It's not a course in which you're going to feel out of your depth. Is it a course for first-year students? Yes. Is it a course for seniors in government? Yes. Is it a course for anyone in the college? Yes. If you're interested in the subject, take the course. Now, I've written a couple of things of information up here, my office hours, and also, very important, by appointment. People's schedules at this university look like a block of Swiss cheese cut by a microtome. It's impossible for everyone to have common free time. So, if you can't make those office hours, send me an email. I answer emails, and we'll set up something. Today, after class, I'll hang around a little, and then I'm going to have lunch in Leverett House. If you want to join me, I'll be happy to have lunch with you, very informal, answer any questions you have, and just chat. One thing is very important in this class, and it's something that often isn't done. You need to bring the texts we're going to talk about to class. You need to have them with you, in front of you. Fair enough? Now, you'd say, well, that's a little hard. This is a big book. The source book is a big book. It weighs something. Well, rip the pages out. That's okay. Scan them, copy them, print them. Bring them, though, to class in print. Now, that brings up another matter. I'm going to ask you now, every one of you, to turn off your electronic devices completely and absolutely. Not airplane mode, not vibrate mode, not other mode, but completely off and away. Why? I want to be with you in this class. I want you to be with me. I want undivided attention. We often don't have that luxury anymore these days, but it's very important, especially when you're dealing with language and detail. So if you have a device, when we start the hour at 12, just make sure it's off. And then you can check it when the class is over. When I was teaching with Professor Friedman last fall, a course in economics, the Gazette ran a story about a new study that shows that people who simply have their devices within reach, whether they are on or off, do not complete a task as well or with as much thoroughness as someone who actually has the device turned off and put away. There are real studies that show that we get distracted too easily. And when we are habituated to that distraction, it's even easier to get distracted. So when we're in class here, no devices on. And you say, oh, that must be somebody from the humanities speaking who doesn't like tech. No, that's not true at all. I have my iPad, I got my computer, I spend an enormous amount of time. But I've noticed that people who teach computer science, or like Jonathan Citrain at the law school, who does lots of work on digital law, what do they do when they start teaching a class? They say, please turn your devices off. Because they know that that's important. So that's important for this class. This announced at the end of the syllabus as a class policy. A couple of other things. There are a fair number of papers during this class, but don't let that scare you. They're short. Let that scare you even more. Why? It's really hard to write a good short paper. You can write a mediocre 7-page paper and get an A- on it. You've probably all done it. Yeah? Right. Here's some confirming noise. Why are these assignments short? Well, as Mark Twain once wrote to a correspondent, I've written you a long letter because I don't have time to write you a short one. Being concise, being forceful, is something that takes extra effort. So these assignments, which are close to real-world situations that you may encounter, or similar to ones that you have already encountered in your life, are to be about the length of an op-ed in a newspaper. 500-600 words, 700 words. That's not very long. Why do I assign such short papers? Because until you know what your best writing is, you won't push yourself to achieve. You'll be satisfied with writing that's pretty good. You'll be satisfied with writing that passes muster and gets the obligatory A-. But I would like you in this course to strive to find out what your best writing is. Because once you know that, you can internalize it and become your own most fierce critic. That's really the object of the teaching of all writing. Not for someone to stand over you or near you and say, now you need to do this, or now you need to correct that, or what about reorganizing this? That's a help. But the only good writer is the one who is the harshest critic of that person's own writing. And that's hard. You'll also notice that in these paper assignments, you get a chance to rewrite them. Why? Because no paper written, no matter how much effort, in a relatively short period of time, is usually the best paper it can be. You're going to have second thoughts about it. You'll come back to it a few days later and you'll say, why didn't I put my argument at the end rather than at the beginning? Why didn't I amass my evidence more quickly? So you'll get a grade on the first thing you turn in for each assignment. Then you'll get back comments with a grade, and you'll get a chance to rewrite it. And you can rewrite it according to those comments, but you should also rewrite it according to your own reflections and critique on your first draft. And you can raise your grade. So let's say you got a B on the draft. You can rewrite it and you can get up to an A-. Is that clear? You can raise your grade by 2 notches. Is that clear? Now let's say you turn in the paper and you get an A on the first draft. Highly unlikely, conceivable. You still may want to rewrite it, because writers who care about their writing are always looking for improvements. The novelist Thomas Wolfe said, the comment's a little anachronistic because it uses a more or less outdated piece of technology, but it's still a good comment. The novelist Thomas Wolfe said, writing is very easy. You just put a piece of paper in the typewriter and start bleeding. You ever stare at that empty computer screen? How do you begin? What do you say? My advice to you is begin early and distrust your first few sentences. But papers are an important part of the course. There'll be some choice in these assignments, and some of them will relate to conditions in the world today. The kinds of things that you are going to be asked to write or to speak about in the future. We'll section this course next Tuesday, because by then most people should know whether they're really going to be in the course or not. I think your final Crimson Card is due next Wednesday, is that right? So it's a ways from now. Thank goodness it's not this Friday. Thank goodness we had a holiday this week. So it's not Friday, it's next Wednesday. So next Tuesday, if you come to class and you're pretty sure you're going to take the course, we'll section the course. This is a writing intensive course, which is good because it means the sections will be a little smaller than usual. We'll try to cap them at 15 instead of 18. We may actually have sections that are slightly smaller than that. Samuel Diener. Samuel, stand up. Samuel Diener is one of the section instructors. And Holtz Katzma had a plane flight mishap yesterday, coming back from the western desert, and he's not here today, but he'll be here on Thursday. Holtz will be here, and there will be some open section times posted for late this week on Thursday. What does that mean? Not assigned sections, but just to come in and discuss the course and talk about some of the material that we're going over today and Thursday, just so we get some discussion going. Then we'll section next Tuesday for regular sections beginning later next week. Does all that make sense? It's pretty clear. Are there questions about that? Questions about any of these course mechanics at all? This source book you need to order online. It's explained in the syllabus how to order it. If you're going to take the course, please order it very soon, because it's not available at the crew. I believe it's mailed to you via priority mail. Has anyone ordered it yet? No. Okay, the instructions are on the syllabus. There's a link on the syllabus, so you can order it directly. Fair enough? The main texts, as I pointed out, are this source book, the In Our Own Words, Classical Rhetoric for the Modern Student, and a good thing to have always with you, this sheet. There are some recommended texts on public speaking, but I'm simply giving them to you as recommended if you want to read up on them. Now there's another aspect to this course, which I hope will be enjoyable for you. You get to watch movies. And you can watch them on your own time. They would be available, I think, in Lamont. I think that's correct. Where you can just go in and look at them. Why am I asking you to watch these films? Because each one, either as a documentary or as a fictional film, represents the use of language and rhetoric in a compelling way. So one of them, for example, is a documentary on the Army McCarthy hearings, when Senator Joseph McCarthy did what was called red baiting and made accusations of many people being communists. And that film shows the Senate hearings, the first Senate hearings ever televised in the United States, with the Army McCarthy hearings. That would be an example of one of the documentaries. An example of another film which is fictional would be A Man for All Seasons, which is a movie about Sir Thomas More, the figure in the Renaissance, who was asked to take an oath about the divorce and marriage of King Henry VIII of England. And for various reasons of conscience, More declined to take the oath. And the film gives you the entire history, both before and after that significant moment of his deciding that he would not take this oath. Taking an oath is a rhetorical act. It's a performative act. You are ascribing to something that someone else has written, and you're doing so in an act of conscience. And More felt that he couldn't do it. It was a kind of test, and he didn't feel that he should have to pass it. This course, through no particular design of my own, is denominated as a course in aesthetic and interpretive understanding. I did not devise that heading. It came from a faculty committee. And like all things from faculty committees, it should be taken with a little grain of salt. I've had a lot of experience with them, and I can say that. However, since it's there, and since there's some real reason for it, I wanted to talk for a few minutes about why that category and why this course fits into it. Fair enough? All right. So let's take a few minutes and explore. The word aesthetic is a relatively new word in English. It doesn't come in until about 1750, 1760. We use it all the time today, aesthetic, but it's quite new. Does anyone know where it comes from? We use it all the time. You know, if you're selling makeup, you can say you have an aesthetic institute in Switzerland and you sell face cream for $400 an ounce.